Outlet Sports Online coming back at you. We got the UFC 237 review episode, Namajunas versus Andrade. And let's just jump right into it with the undercard fights that were worthy of mention. We had BJ Penn and Lil Nog both losing on the undercard. Some older fighters that are perhaps near their retirement age. What's your thoughts?
I hope they retire. Those are my thoughts. I said it before the fight. Both these guys are like legends of the sport that started a long, long time ago, and are, like I said, they're legends for a reason. You know, they've been around for so long and taken so much. They've achieved so much. They have nothing left to prove, and now they're both just looking terrible at the end of their career. And this is what you hate to see: is guys that have a big name and have built up enough goodwill with the fans and the organizations that people will still pay to watch them fight or want to watch them fight, and the companies will just, you know, out of respect, give them what they want. They're not going to tell somebody to retire, but these dudes need to retire. BJ Penn is now the owner of the longest losing streak in UFC history, because normally somebody would have been dropped from the UFC by now. But it's got to be time to hang him up. It's not doing him any good.
Now, what about Lil Nog? Because didn't he win somewhat recently? I mean, does he still got perhaps one more win in him before he retires, or
he might? But it's like, what's the point? You know,
go out on a winning note.
He's yeah, I guess, but he's, like I said, he's another dude. He's just a legend. He's cemented his place in the sport. He and his brother both, and his brother retired a long time ago for a reason, man. They both just took a lot of damage, and like, he's not going to win a title. Well, he doesn't make particularly insane amounts of money. He's fighting on the undercard. Like, what's he doing it for? At this point, it's just like he's doing it just because he wants to, because he's proud and thinks he still can. He's not doing it to win a belt, to really achieve anything. Like, he's just doing more damage to himself that he doesn't need to do.
Fair enough. I guess we can move on now to the top three fights that we discussed previously. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess I will plug the fact that I was 2-1 in my predictions and Pat was 0-3, but we'll get to that.
Yes.
So featherweight, we had Alexander Volkanovski defeating Jose Aldo in a unanimous decision. So how would you break down this particular fight?
Volkanovski just shut him down, basically. Aldo came out after the fight, said it's the worst he's ever fought. But, I mean, he just didn't have anything for Volkanovski. Volkanovski landed leg kicks, just outstruck him, made him punished for being punished him for being aggressive, and I mean, it was a beautiful performance by Volkanovski. You know, Aldo says he fought the worst he's ever fought, or whatever he wants to say, but I look at it more as just Volkanovski is so good. I mean, Aldo is one of the best ever, and Volkanovski just dominated the whole fight. I mean, 30-27 unanimous decisions. He didn't lose a single round on a single judge's scorecard, which is uncommon-ish these days because judges are so terrible. But he beat the greatest of all time in an incredibly impressive fashion, and I think it just says a ton about where he is as a fighter at the moment, and I think he should earn a title fight.
But is he going to get one?
Doesn't look like it. Not right away, at least. It looks... I just heard announced that they're scheduling Frankie Edgar versus Max Holloway. Max Holloway, of course, coming off of his loss to Dustin Poirier for the interim lightweight championship, but coming back down, still the champion of the featherweight division, coming back down and fighting Frankie Edgar, who is, again, like a legendary dude in the sport. He's actually the guy who ended BJ Penn's title reign, beat him twice in a row. And so Frankie Edgar's fighting for the title next. I think it should be Volkanovski. I think his recent record is more impressive. He beat Chad Mendes. He beat Jose Aldo. What else do you want? You know, Frankie Edgar, his last two fights, he got knocked out by Brian Ortega when Holloway got injured. I think it was Holloway. Anyway. Yeah, I think Holloway got injured. He got knocked out by Brian Ortega in a short notice fight, and then he came back and beat Cub Swanson, which, yes, is a great win, but, you know, Volkanovski just beat Aldo. I mean, I think he should be up there. He's undefeated in the UFC, I think, this far. Or he hasn't lost in some time, anyway. I don't see why he shouldn't get a title shot. Frankie Edgar's basically in because of the name value of Frankie Edgar. It's a sellable fight, for sure, but I just personally think Volkanovski's recent record is more impressive.
So do you think Volkanovski gets perhaps the winner of that fight, or is he still going to have to maybe have a number one contender fight to prove that he should get the title shot?
I hope he gets the winner of the fight. I mean, to me, the Jose Aldo fight is the number one contender fight. Jose Aldo just beat Jeremy Stephens, who was number one contender before he fought. He lost one fight. I think his fight with Jose Aldo was a number one contender fight. Jose Aldo went on and got a title shot, I think. Jeremy Stephens came back and won again, and then back to Jeremy Stephens. I can't remember what happened. But anyway, Jose Aldo should have been the number one contender fight. He just beat Jeremy Stephens. Volkanovski just beat Chad Mendes. I mean, there's not really much else to do at that point. There's nobody else to beat in the rankings above Jose Aldo, so why doesn't he get a title shot?
Fair enough point. Next, we'll bring up the middleweight fight that we had on this pay-per-view. So we had Gerald Cannonier against Anderson Silva, and Cannonier picked up the victory in a technical knockout.
Yep. He leg kicked him a lot, and then Anderson's leg gave out. Just popped his knee out. Apparently, he said something about having it happen in the camp before the fight. So it may have been a pre-existing injury that got made, worsened by the kicks, but Cannonier gets the KO win, man. I mean,
there's always an excuse for losing, isn't there?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, there's not much you can do about something like this, like an injury. Like, it's not like he made a mistake and got knocked out. Yeah, he could have checked the kick, but it happens. It's a freak injury. That's like the same reason why a lot of people were unhappy with Chris Weidman's victory over Anderson Silva, his second one, because Anderson Silva threw a kick and it broke his leg. Like, just, it's an injury. It's kind of... But, that being said, it was a great performance by Gerald Cannonier, and he caused the injury by leg kicking Anderson and causing the injury. This wasn't anything like this wasn't a rolled ankle or bone giving out. It's Cannonier landing a technique enough to injure his opponent and make him incapable of continuing the fight. So Cannonier wins for sure. The crowd did not enjoy it. The crowd just booed him the whole time. Like, this kind of sucked for him. It's a big moment for him, but the crowd, they're in Brazil, so. What do you expect?
Yeah, that probably explains it.
Have you heard the chant that they do in Brazil?
No.
I don't know what it is, but what it translates to is the whole stadium of people in Brazil just screaming, "You're gonna die," at the fighter that's not from Brazil. It's pretty brutal.
Oh, they really take pride in their fighters.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta respect them for it.
And then last, we have the Strawweight Championship match, where we had Rose Namajunas unfortunately losing her title to Jessica Andrade by a technical knockout. Well, this is the fight we both got wrong, so
yeah. How
would you draw it up?
It was a great finish by Andrade. An uncommon finish for sure. She went in for a single leg takedown. Then Rose kind of went to set up a Kimura. So Andrade switched it to like a high crouch takedown and lifted Rose up off her feet. And while Rose was in the air, she stayed attacking the arm to try to get the Kimura. And because she was doing that, she kind of lost, her balance and was sideways. And as soon as she started falling sideways, Andrade slammed her and landed her right on her head and neck and just completely, dazed her and just landed a couple shots and the fight was over. In the second round. It was an unexpected finish.
So you draw that up of basically like not having any sort of way to break the fall, and therefore having that awkward landing that kind of like knocked her senseless, or
and I think a lot of people are saying that the reason it happened is kind of a tactical error on Rose's part. When you get into that position, you should let go of the Kimura, stop trying to attack the submission, just specifically because of that situation. You throw yourself off and you put yourself in a vulnerable position to get dropped on your head. And so a lot of people are saying it's an error on Rose's part, but it's also a takedown that Andrade does with relative frequency and had done earlier in the fight and wasn't successful. So the second time she went for it, she knew Rose was going to go for that Kimura, so she made a little bit of an adjustment and went for a slam and was obviously very successful with it. I think the unfortunate part, if you're a Rose fan, is that she looked phenomenal up until that point. She completely dominated the first round and all of the second round until that moment, basically. She was doing exactly what I was talking about in the preview video, was if she was able to keep the fight at a distance and use her jab and cut corners and use angles and just range striking, she was going to win, and that's what happened for the entire fight up to that point. And then the other thing that I said was the fight was going to come down to whichever fighter was able to implement their game plan up close and in the clinch more effectively, right? I said that Andrade wanted to get in close and go for the takedown. I said she favors judo takedowns. This wasn't a judo takedown, but it was just a very powerful takedown. And I said that Andrade is just a very strong fighter and might be able to overpower Rose, who does tend to go for dragging people down and going for submissions. And that's exactly what happened. Andrade is just too strong, lifted her up, slammed her on her head, and there's nothing Rose really could do about it.
Yeah, so I mean, how does this open up the strawweight division now? I mean, is Rose in for an automatic rematch of her title, or do you think someone else gets that opportunity?
A lot of people have been talking about that. Rose said after the fight she's not sure if she's going to fight again. I think she just has a hard time with it. Like, I think her personality-wise, she's just not, like, hyper-aggressive and all this stuff, which is kind of funny to say about a fighter. But she seems, in interviews at least, like, you know, a reserved kind of person, just likes to keep to themselves and stuff. But a lot of people are saying she deserves the rematch. And I think she should, because it's just like getting caught with, you know, an injury or a weird punch or something and knocked out. Like, she dominated the fight before that, so bar that one small mistake, the fight's going completely differently.
Well, and I think that if you are considering not fighting again or retirement or whatever you want to call it, it's nice to go out on a win, right? Wouldn't you say? So I would like to see her maybe win that title back and then call it quits and just have like a vacated title or something.
Yeah, I think it's possible. I don't think she's going to fight anytime soon. I think she's going to take a little bit of time off. She said it's a relief, basically. I think the fighting lifestyle isn't. She's not particularly well suited for it, but personality-wise. But she also, I think she didn't like the extra obligations of media and attention that you get with being a champion. I think maybe if she's able to do a fight without having that extra stuff there, maybe she'll enjoy it a little more. But yeah, I would like to see her come back. I would like to see the rematch, but I think what will end up happening is either she will elect to wait for the next fight or just be out long enough that another fight happens anyway. So there are a couple people that, when you say it opens up the division, it definitely does in a big way for Joanna Jędrzejczyk, who had lost to Rose twice in a row. So she wasn't going to get that third fight with Rose. But if she comes back down to the division after going for the flyweight title at 125 and an unsuccessful debut there, I think if she comes back down and goes for the 115 title, she could come back down, win one fight, and then be in a title match against Andrade, who she holds a victory over already. Andrade got to the title and challenged Joanna for her title a couple years ago. So it's a rematch for Andrade, who get that loss back. another chance for Joanna to fight for the title. She's fan friendly. She's a loudmouth. She's great. She's super entertaining. So that's good for her. And there's another fight that's happening that could definitely determine a number one contender fight, and I think should, and it's Tatiana Suarez versus Nina Ansaroff, in two great grapplers fighting each other. And I think Nina Ansaroff's striking was much improved in her last fight, and that's why she won the last fight, and she looked phenomenal. But Tatiana Suarez is, I think, the best female wrestler in the sport. She's just an incredible grappler. She grappled at a high level in college and took that into her MMA career. And I think she's the only woman that has the pedigree and the background and the skills that she possesses. Just because of the fact that not many women like wrestle at a high level in the college sports atmosphere, which is where wrestlers who do the Olympics, WWE, or MMA all come from. They go one of three ways, or they go one of the others first. You know, a lot of guys go to the Olympics and then do wrestling or then do MMA. But that's where they all come from. And so, since most women don't have an easy access or a comfortable place to go through that same training, they don't have that same skill set, right? But she does, and I think she's gonna, run through Ansaroff, and I think she's an incredible challenge for both Andrade and Jędrzejczyk or Namajunas. So she's interesting fold.
Well, we'll have to see what happens with that division for sure. And this was an interesting pay-per-view, and hope you all enjoyed it. And stay tuned for our upcoming preview videos for UFC as well. Take care, everybody. Make sure to like and subscribe, and stay following LitTube channel.
That's not necessarily true.
That orange really pops on you, Pat. I like it.
Thanks. My skin looks like fuck today. It's like all blotchy and red.
Justin's hoodie just blends into his pale skin, so it's a terrible choice.
Fuck you.
Alright, you guys
Why are you
ready?
such an asshole?
Casserole.
Let Sports Online coming back at you. This is the UFC 237 review. Shit.
Yeah, that's right. I didn't change that.
Rolling.